Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Hope we had a wonderful work week, and hopefully we're getting ready for the weekend out there. And for a lot of us, it's going to be a pretty snowy one. We've got a pretty impressive little storm system kind of crossing the country right now, bringing some really nice snowfall totals to some folks, and for others, an actually pretty nice spring-like day as well, kind of to the south of this storm system. Now, that's not the only thing we're going to be talking about in today's video. We do have a bit of a roller coaster coming in the temperature department as well, and some active weather out west with a big storm system kind of pumping some of that Pacific moisture inland here, and will bring some problems over the next couple of days as well. And then we turn our eyes towards later next week when there's the chance for another system that once again could bring some snow. And I'll tell you who I think has the best shot of seeing that snow here later on in today's video. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider doing so. Like the video if you like it, and of course, comment, let me know how much snow you're seeing where you're at, and also let me know if you're hoping for an early spring, because again, there's going to be a temperature roller coaster over the next week or so. So some of us are going to feel like spring, and then feel like winter, and then feel like spring, and then feel like winter. I think it's kind of the most likely kind of scenario here, again, over that 7 to 10 day time frame. So with all that said, let's go ahead and jump on into it and start looking at some maps here. Now, taking a look at satellite imagery, our storm system that I did mention is right here kind of over portions of Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, and will slowly just continue to scoot kind of eastbound today, and with it, bringing a big swath of snow to the north here, where a good 3 to 5 inches for a lot of folks is going to fall. Some places could even see more than that, again, and I'll talk about who that is here in just a moment. To the south, though, kind of the storm system here into the Carolinas, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, we're getting a lot of that kind of warm air advection pulled out of the Gulf, and we're seeing overall a pretty nice day. Now, definitely cloudy for sure, but warm temperatures are definitely working on in, and it should stay pretty nice throughout today. Now, out west, you'll notice another big-time storm system here kind of spinning away off the coastline, and again, just pumping all of this Pacific moisture with this kind of atmospheric river towards California and surrounding areas, and we're no stranger to that. We've seen a lot of that over the past couple of weeks, and once again, we're seeing it today, and we'll continue to see that for the next week or so. All right, taking a look at watches, warnings, and advisories out there, and kind of where we're seeing snow falling. Again, most of the snow that's falling currently kind of here over sections of Illinois, portions of northeastern Kansas here, northern Missouri, and then even into central Illinois and into Indiana. So again, snow going to continue to fall through these areas for the next couple of hours, but eventually the storm system is going to continue to move eastbound, and we've got a plethora of winter weather advisories in the purple, and even some winter storm watches and warnings up here kind of through portions of western Maryland there, northern Virginia, and then into a big chunk of West Virginia. Especially those higher terrains of West Virginia really could get clobbered pretty good by this storm, with maybe even more than half a foot of snowfall not out of the question here. All right, and then to the north of there, I will also mention we do have some lake effect snow ongoing today. So here we go. We've got snow setting up into northern New York State. We've got snow into the UP of Michigan, even into the upper peninsula of, the upper bit of kind of the mainland of Michigan there. And kind of just some snow showers in general here through Ontario and Quebec as well. Kind of into Toronto, seeing some snow showers this afternoon. Same story back up here through Nova Scotia, through the Halifax area, and into Quebec, even seeing some snow showers. So again, a pretty snowy day for a lot of folks to the north here. Now, out west, not too much is happening right now. We do have some scattered snow showers here into the northern Rockies from Idaho through Wyoming and even into Salt Lake City and back towards the mountains just there kind of west of the Denver area, but nothing too crazy right now. Now, as we go through the next week or so, this will definitely fill in on the map, I think, here. And you'll notice some more of these kind of snowy conditions kind of beginning to ramp on up for a lot of folks. So we'll watch that here in the future. All right, taking a look at kind of the overall pattern here, I think, throughout the next couple of days, and then we'll kind of revisit this map a couple times throughout this video. But just to give you the overall idea of what we're seeing right now, is we've got this troughing kind of digging down out of Canada into the United States. That is supplying cold air, and it's also allowing enough divergence at the surface that this low pressure is able to form and kind of ride along that trough axis here over the next couple of days. And eventually what will happen, as that continues to work eastbound, is all of that cold air behind it is going to funnel in, and we're going to have a pretty chilly weekend in store for most of the Northeast and even down into the Mid-Atlantic, and the Southeast is going to be much colder than we saw yesterday and today. Now, outside of that, here's that big storm system out west, and we'll touch on that here a little bit later on, but just know there it is getting ready to kind of cause some problems here down the road. All right, so let me go ahead and just move this all the way ahead just so we can get all of our frames loaded, and then we'll back this up again. Here we go. So starting this off about the time that I'm uploading this video, and here we go. We've got snow again, as I mentioned, breaking out here into northern Missouri, here into central Indiana and Illinois as well, seeing some snow. Even a little bit of ice here kind of to the south. We are seeing enough warm air kind of aloft here to cause some precipitation type problems here through the St. Louis area. But as we go throughout today, that snow line will continue to crash southward a little bit. And once we're getting into this afternoon, about 3-4 o'clock Eastern time, again, a nice band of snow setting up here, getting into that rush hour commute time through much of central Ohio into the Indianapolis area, down into Evansville, southern Indiana, still snow in St. Louis at this point. I think this is going to be more of an all-rain event here south of the Ohio River Valley, so Kentucky, not much snow here. Unfortunately for you folks who are hoping for some, looks like more of a rain event. Looked like snow a couple days ago, but looks like more rain for most of you. Now, not all of you. If you are kind of, again, to the north a little bit, you could see snow, but central and southern Kentucky here, again, going to be more of a rain event. And same story down to the south through Mississippi, Alabama, and down into Louisiana. Now, I will mention we don't have anything from the Storm Prediction Center for today, but some of our latest modeling indicating a little bit of maybe a feisty line of storms here. Very skinny one, not too much lift here to cause big-time storms to develop, but don't be surprised here through Nashville and again south eastern Kentucky here through Pikeville, back into Tupelo and Huntsville, Alabama area. Could see a skinny line of gusty winds with some rain move on through this afternoon and into this evening. Definitely don't rule that out. But the bigger story, again, going into overnight tonight, this is about 8 o'clock Eastern time. Snow from kind of Louisville northbound here. Most of Ohio seeing some snow here, snowing in Pittsburgh. And at this point, now tapering off back towards Missouri and Illinois. But again, still snowing for some of these other folks. Now here we go, overnight tonight, getting closer to the midnight hour. Again, we do have a quick burst of rain here to the south through Knoxville at this point, getting towards Asheville, Birmingham, Huntsville, Dalton, Georgia, down into Jackson, Mississippi. Again, you'll notice some rain. But to the north, snowfall is picking up, and it's getting hot and heavy here. Or I guess cold and heavy. It is snow after all for a lot of folks here, especially into West Virginia, northern Virginia as well. This kind of a corridor here circled on your map. We could get a burst of heavy snow for a couple of hours, and again, that I think will lead to some big-time snowfall totals for somebody, potentially more than half a foot, maybe even 8 to 12 inches for isolated spots here in the highest terrains of West Virginia there. Not out of the question. Now here we go into about 2 o'clock this morning. Now snow breaking out into Philadelphia, Harrisburg, Scranton, New York City, back down towards into the D.C. and Baltimore area. Likely seeing some snow out of this overnight tonight. Snowing down the Appalachia chain into the Shenandoah Valley. But all rain to the south of there. All of us in North Carolina, even really the mountains, unfortunately, going to just be a rain event here as we're on the south side of this low pressure system. And just expecting some scattered showers during the overnight tonight through the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama. And eventually, by the time we're waking up tomorrow morning, this storm system's finally starting to pull away. And we're drying out for a lot of folks, but still a band of heavy snow here from Philadelphia back towards New York City, Long Island, Rhode Island, into Connecticut, and then into kind of southeastern Massachusetts there through the Cape, Nantucket, Cape Cod. Definitely could see some snow early tomorrow morning before getting into tomorrow kind of later in the morning and afternoon. Just some scattered snow showers left over, and at this point the lake effect machine could really crank up here Saturday afternoon. Look at all of these snow showers working on through Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania into New York State, again as this block of cold air kind of funnels in on behind this storm system. Now, another thing I will mention here for our Saturday afternoon is we've got a very rainy day in store for Florida. We're going to kind of have a secondary area of low pressure here developing, and that's going to, again, as you can see on your map here, a big swath of kind of precipitation here, even into southern Texas, kind of down near the Brownsville area, through the Gulf of Mexico, into the Florida Peninsula. Again, a very rainy day while we're still seeing these snow squalls really ramp up into the northeast, and this is something that has really cranked up in the past couple model runs here. Again, we could see additional totals here on top of whatever snow falls tonight, tomorrow afternoon, with again some very impressive snow squalls coming in off the lakes. And there's still such a little ice cover over the Great Lakes. It's been such a warm winter for a lot of folks up here that, again, this block of cold air moving over that really going to cause some big-time lake effect snow. And that'll continue here even into overnight Saturday. And by the time we're waking up Sunday, as far as this model goes out, again, could even get a little bit of an upper-level low to move on in and kind of even ramp up some more of that snow here off the Great Lakes going into our Sunday morning. And at that same time, it's still raining down here into Florida. So, again, a very rainy weekend in Florida and a very snowy weekend in the Northeast, and kind of just cold and chilly everywhere in between. Now moving this out a little bit further ahead into time, just because that model, again, doesn't get us all the way through the storm system, or this overall pattern, if you will. So picking up, again, this is Saturday afternoon. As we talked about, rainy in Florida. It's definitely some scattered snow showers in the Northeast overnight Saturday. Sunday morning here, again, still pouring from Tampa down through Fort Myers over towards Orlando, Jacksonville, even likely into Miami raining, and even into the peninsula, or excuse me, the Panhandle, could see some rain out of this as well. Now here we go into overnight Sunday. Again, you'll notice, watch that upper level low into the northeast there through Quebec and Ontario, swing on through, bring another burst of snow here. And eventually we've got, more snow working on through those regions. Overnight Sunday before, I think, finally, Monday afternoon, most of us clear out and most of the rain is offshore and most of the snow kind of tapers on down here. Now, very quickly touching on rainfall totals. Again, most of the rain that falls here likely to be into Florida, but we could see a good 2 to 4 inches here. Again, into the central panhandle from kind of Lake Okeechobee, northbound through the Orlando area. The I-4 corridor, definitely going to see some big-time rain out of this. So again, just be kind of prepared for a very soggy weekend for a lot of folks there through the Florida Peninsula. All right, I'll take a look at snowfall totals. Now, this is just the next 48 hours, so this is ending at Sunday morning. Again, some folks in the Northeast could see more snow after this, and I'll quickly pull up a map for that here in just a moment for you, just so I'm not leaving you hanging. But again, snow from 6 a.m. today, so starting at that point. So if you're watching this later on today, subtract whatever snow you've seen from early this morning. And here we go. Again, a big swath of 3 to 5 inches of snow here through central Illinois, central Indiana, into Ohio, and even northern Kentucky here could see a good 1 to 3 inches out of this as we see some of that snow kind of work on in. But again, from kind of, the Tennessee, North Carolina, Arkansas line here, whatever parallel this is, southbound, just no snow out of this. Really just going to be more of a rain event. Can't rule out maybe a couple flurries on the backside into the higher terrains of North Carolina. But again, the big story is this big swath of snow from St. Louis all the way back over towards Louisville, Indianapolis, Columbus, and then into West Virginia. All right, looking at the Northeast here, again, this is just the next 48 hours, so I'll show you more after this, but here we go. So again, a big swath of snow here into D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, and into the higher terrains of West Virginia. Again, I think the real bullseye going to be up here where we have those highest peaks into extreme western Maryland and the kind of surrounding areas of West Virginia, where half a foot of snow to 8 inches not out of the question. Again, wouldn't even be surprised to see an isolated spot or two pick up 8 to 12 inches. Bigger cities, though, kind of like D.C., Baltimore here, again, a good 3 to 5 inches of snow. Same story for Philadelphia. Definitely going to be a notable snowstorm, for a lot of these areas. New York City, probably a little less, 1 to 3 inches is going to be a little more likely. And then kind of up into these areas of northern Pennsylvania and into New York is going to be a little bit more lake effect snow dependent. So isolated spots are going to see more. Obviously, you've seen that show up here in these kind of places that have those higher snowfall totals, but again, just less of that shield of snow and more of the lake effect snow on the backside. And let me pull up a very quick model run for everybody so we can look at that. And we'll just use this GFS model, pull up total snowfall, and kind of move this ahead into kind of all the time that matters, and then move this into the Northeast. So again, as I mentioned, that lake effect snow on the backside definitely going to add some extra snow here. You'll notice isolated spots up here could see half a foot to a foot of snow by the time all those snow squalls are through. Again, going throughout our kind of end of this week and even into early next week. And I'll also mention, just because I never pulled up a map for it, up here into kind of the Michigan area and into Wisconsin. Also going to see some snow here through those time periods, especially into the UP and northern Michigan, where, again, that lake effect snow could pile up to maybe even upwards of half a foot in isolated spots, but about 3 inches of snow going to be a little bit more widespread there. All right, very quickly discussing temperatures. Again, this afternoon, it's going to be a warm one south of this storm system. So again, very spring-like temperatures here from Arkansas to Texas through Tennessee and into the Carolinas southbound, getting well up into the 60s, probably even going to pass 70 for a lot of folks, to be honest with you. Here, again, as some of that warm air advection is working on northbound. Now to the north of there, though, again, a very chilly day. So a pretty strong boundary is really showing up here. Again, where I have that pink line drawn to the north. Going to be near freezing. To the south, it's going to feel like spring. So again, just going to be a really fine line depending on your location here. But what I will mention is everyone's going to get in on the cold air. It's just a matter of when. You'll notice going into tonight, here comes that line of cooler temperatures. And by the time we're getting into tomorrow morning, a lot of folks back below freezing here. You'll notice that freezing line digging pretty far southbound and, really encompassing much of the country here. And by the time we get into Saturday afternoon, Again, we're all cold again. So again, I've said it many times now, but very spring-like today. But by the time this block of cold air starts working on in, high temperatures tomorrow, we're going to be back below freezing for most of us north of the Ohio River Valley, and to the south, still going to be quite chilly, only getting into the 40s and 50s, and some folks even only getting into the 30s. So I mentioned at the early part of the video a bit of a roller coaster of temperatures here, and again, that's looking more and more likely here throughout the next couple of days, and again, even going into next week, I think once again we continue that pattern. All right, that's the East Coast, and that took a good 15 minutes to talk about, so this video might be a little bit longer than I expected. But talking about the West Coast now, again, here's that big storm system off the coastline. That is going to continue to bring a big flow of energy and precipitation into the West Coast over the next couple of days. And if we take a look at that here in our latest model guidance, you'll notice, sure enough, that is kind of what is showing up here. So this afternoon, still dry for most of us. Again, we do have some snow showers working on into the northern Rockies. I mentioned that earlier on in the video whenever we were looking at radar and our watches and warnings. But the bigger story is all this precipitation on the way here, really starting Saturday afternoon. So here we go. You'll notice a big block of rain moving into California, the coastline of Oregon and Washington, and that will likely turn into some snow there into the higher terrains of those areas and stay that way overnight Saturday here into Sunday morning. You'll notice we kind of calm down a little bit, but still very widespread snow showers into the northern Rockies, and some scattered rain showers as well there into the valleys and into the coastal regions, and all of this likely to continue on even later on here. We'll take a look at the GFS model. Again, Sunday morning here, as I mentioned, we've got those snow showers and rain showers, and again, another round kind of works on in here. Monday morning, very heavy rainfall through California. Sierra Nevada's getting in on some big time snow out of that. But again, just really kind of what we've seen for the past couple of weeks. Just rounds of rain, rounds of snow, and that continues as this storm system finally gets closer to the coastline here Tuesday afternoon. You'll notice they are just off the coast of California, and eventually finally works its way inland going into our Wednesday afternoon and into our Thursday afternoon. And after that, things should calm down a little bit. So a pretty active stretch here through the next 7 days or so of weather here with big-time rain and also big-time snow. You'll notice here the real winners, though, being in the northern Rockies. Not so much for the southern Rockies, Four Corners region. Likely not to see too much precipitation out of this, but places like Idaho, back towards Yellowstone, Salt Lake City, much of Nevada, the Sierra Nevadas, into the mountains there through the Cascades and into Oregon. Going to see some pretty good snowfall totals out of this, and I always mention this, but go to weather.gov, click on your exact location, you'll get a way better idea of exactly how much snow, as this is often very elevation dependent. All right. That's kind of the next week or so. Now let's kind of zoom this out and look at the long range a little bit more and going into next week. So here we are. You'll notice this is into next Wednesday, and things look much more quiet. Now, we do still have a trough kind of digging out west. That is important. That could lead to another storm system later next week, but we're going to get a big warm-up. Look at all of this red here on the map and this ridging. We're going to have some big-time temperature swings. As I mentioned, it's going to be very cold this weekend. By the time we get into the middle of next week, we're going to be back well above average here in the temperature department, and that's going to continue through the middle part of the week, even into the second half of the week, before our models are indicating another big time trough digs down out of Canada, and we're right back to below average temperatures. So going to really see some wild swings here, I think, from now through the next 10 days, and that's probably going to really mess with a lot of people's allergies. So I'll tell you right now, I already know some people sneezing. You might join the club here as we get a little bit later on, as the plants really kind of get tricked multiple times here. Now, again, going into this afternoon, we talked about those temperatures. This weekend, though, Saturday, I mentioned, will be cold. Sunday afternoon here, again, below average temperatures through much of the southeast, the mid-Atlantic, and northeast, while we begin to warm up again back out west and into the northern Great Plains as that ridge builds on in. And that really starts taking hold here Monday afternoon, most of us getting back to average or a little above average. Tuesday afternoon, well above average temperatures now through much of the central part of the country. And by the time we're getting into Wednesday afternoon, full-on torch mode. Potentially 20 degrees or so above what we should be this time of year. And remember, we're starting to get into late February at this point, so that sun angle is really starting to get a little bit higher. We're getting a little bit, we're starting to slope upward in our average temperatures. So from here on out, temperatures are only supposed to get warmer And whenever you add things like this on top, again, very spring-like here into the middle of next week, and that continues before, again, another shot of cold air works on in going into next weekend, and we're back to below average temperatures through much of the East Coast, while the West Coast is then once again warming up. So very active here, very different things for different people here in the time frame. Now, one more thing I will mention, our models are hinting potentially another storm system about a week or so out from now. This is next Thursday afternoon. You'll notice low pressure forming, and this is about the same time that block of cold air is trying to dive down out of Canada. So we could potentially see another similar setup to what we're seeing today. And you'll notice here we go, low pressure through the same general area, and here comes that cold air to the north, and you'll notice snow breaking out here on the northern side of things on the overnight European model. But again, this is about 7 to 10 days away from now. So I don't want you to get too excited, but again, could see some active weather out of this, maybe even some severe weather into the Carolinas. We'll see, but just know we do have cold air that is likely going to be kind of somewhere in the vicinity, maybe even another storm system. So just keep your eyes on the same general areas that saw snow today, maybe even areas a little bit further south. We'll see, but could see again another round of snow going into next weekend, really about the same time frame we're seeing that snow right now. Now, the chances of this happening on our latest European ensemble members, it's more excited about the Northeast and into the Mid-Atlantic here about these snowfall chances than anywhere really in the Southeast. But again, we're not looking at specifics right now. We're just looking for an overall idea that there's a storm signal, and sure enough, there is. So definitely need to stay tuned and watch that for, again, potentially more snow impacts here as we kind of get into the final stretch of February. Alrighty, so as I mentioned, very active times ahead. Maybe not quite as active as other parts of this winter, but still important and active weather ongoing that I'll keep you updated on here throughout the next couple of days and really throughout, throughout the next forever. This is likely to be my career after all, so, there's that. Anyway, though, hope you all have a great rest of your Friday afternoon and evening, I guess it is, and I'll see you this weekend.